Hi, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Thanks for watching. In this video, I'm going to share with you a number of tips about accepting a voluntary layoff, some of the pros and cons that you should think about, and what you may want to consider. So sometimes you will have an opportunity to take a voluntary layoff from the organization that you're working for. What this means is that the company or organization will offer you some kind of termination package to effectively resign from your company. This may be when the company is looking to downsize. It could be in a financial situation, they're looking to restructure, or any other number of reasons that they may offer you a voluntary layoff notice. So here are some of the pros and cons of accepting a voluntary layoff. Now, of course, given what I'm saying, it is voluntary, so you can decide as to whether you're going to choose it. So here are some of the pros that you may consider when you've been offered a voluntary layoff. Number one is you may get a better deal if you volunteer for a layoff instead of being terminated. At some point, somewhere down the road, you may end up getting terminated if you don't take a voluntary layoff. So you may want to consider that when you're considering a voluntary layoff. Number two, it generally looks better to new companies, new organizations that you're going to apply to if you specifically said you were part of a voluntary layoff notice, that you accepted the package that was offered to you. Just generally speaking, it looks generally a bit better than if you were just terminated outright. The fact that you made the decision to leave on a voluntary basis sometimes it looks better. Number three, companies will sometimes offer a voluntary layoff to employees, but they may end up terminating employees after if the target number of voluntary layoffs doesn't kick in. That could happen at some point, not all the time, but that does happen. So you may want to be aware of that when you're looking at accepting a voluntary layoff. Number five, a voluntary layoff is coming. It's sometimes easier to accept than being terminated outright. So when it's your decision, it might feel a little bit more acceptable. Perhaps you feel like you're more in control, but it's giving you the decision as opposed to giving it to someone else. Number six, if you can get some kind of package of severance, it could be a lump sum or a salary continuation, it may be a best option. I've had situations in the past where I've worked with people and they've asked me, should I take a voluntary layoff? And I give them the same advice I would give to you right now. And they make that decision on their own. And in some cases, they haven't taken it. And the offer that they get later on, or perhaps the company shuts down, is not as good as what they would have had they taken the voluntary layoff. So just to be aware of that. Number seven is, if you do take a voluntary layoff, you might get recalled as the position becomes open again. Perhaps there's an opportunity somewhere down the road. Number eight, the layoff is generally done a little bit more professionally, perhaps, than a termination. It's done with more grace and style, so to speak, in that you can connect with some of the employees, some of your coworkers, and leave on a good terms. It also generally gives you some notice period, meaning it could be a week or 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be. So it's not like you're walked to the door. It's done on a nicer basis type thing. Number nine, it will generally give you the ability to get a reference a little bit easier when it's done by voluntary layoff as opposed to termination. It also will help you avoid any legal issues for termination too. So you don't have to worry about, hey, I'm going to sue my employer, I'm going to go after them for damages and so on and so forth. So it can be done on a little bit more professional basis that way. And you want to generally avoid legal issues anyway, so that's always generally a better way of going. Number 11, the organization might be losing cash, so the deal now might be better than the deal you may get at some point down the road. Number 12, if you do stick around after a voluntary layoff and a number of employees have left, particularly your friends or coworkers or whatever, the culture of the organization may not be as good. The organization is doing it because of a particular reason, restructuring, downsizing, trying to save money, whatever the case may be. So the feeling, the mood, and the culture of the organization after people accept a voluntary layoff may change. And, do you want to be part of that? What's that culture and what's that organization going to look like after this? Number 13, if you are closer to the end of your career instead of earlier, it may be the best offer. You may have some challenges finding another similar role, and as perhaps it gets closer, you might have some difficulty in finding another position that's similar to that. So just be aware of that as you are considering a voluntary layoff. So a couple of cons about taking a temporary layoff or taking a voluntary layoff. Number one would be you're going to be out of a job. So you're going to have to find another position somewhere along the way. And number two, you may or may not be eligible for employment insurance when that termination or severance runs out. So you want to check on this when you're thinking about accepting or not accepting a voluntary layoff. You may be eligible, you may not be eligible, but at the end of the day, you're taking a voluntary layoff. So you got to check into that before you make that decision. So ultimately, in conclusion, it is a personal decision whether to take a voluntary layoff or not. If you do accept a voluntary layoff, make sure to stay in touch with your employer. There's a possibility that perhaps you might be recalled. I've seen situations where someone's taken a voluntary layoff and then come back at an even higher compensation rate, even perhaps hourly, than you would have made as an employee. So you never know. But also I would suggest to make sure to speak with an accountant or a financial planner on the lump sum, if you are getting a lump sum, to try to understand what tax consequences you may have in that situation. So just be aware of all factors when you make a decision on a voluntary layoff. So my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to check out our website, we do post all our jobs. You can sign up to job mail alerts. You can also post your resume and search and apply to positions on our site. Visit all our social media channels. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And we're also on YouTube as well. We have a channel there where you can watch a number of videos on various topics. I'm also the author of the book Tales from the Recruiter, which you can find out more information about at talesfromtherecruiter.ca. And I want to thank you for watching. You can check me out on LinkedIn as well. Connect with me. I'm happy to connect with you. And if there's anything I can help you out with, please don't hesitate to ask. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca, signing off. Thank you.